a few weeks back, the guys were talking about doing build breakdowns. And so I took my build and I went out and I think I broke it down. Turns out it's not really what
got that active suspension.
Yeah, it's not what they meant. But so since then, Al picked up a nitro and it's got this really sweet aluminum chassis. And I was like, I wonder what if I took all my not broken stuff and put it on an aluminum chassis. So what we've got here today is a whole slew of parts that we are going to take along with the working stuff off the two-wheel drive, and we are going to make something happen.
Basically, we're gonna do this so you don't have to, or maybe so you can learn from this and do it yourself. We'll see how it goes.
If it turns out great, then yeah, we'll have a formula for it. If not, don't do it.
Basically, like the nitro slash seems to jump super well, and it handles well, like way better than it should compared to the two-wheel drives. And it kind of got us thinking, I wonder how an electric two-wheel drive slash would drive with the metal chassis and the extra weight from that. I don't know how much it's actually going to change the weight, but it's definitely more rigid, and like there's a couple things, like the front shock tower is like a complete shock tower as opposed to these, which it's real gummy and flexible because the only thing holding the top together is the actual body mount piece. So there's a couple aspects of it that are nice, but like the whole front bulkhead and everything is the same as the two-wheel drive electric. And we're gonna experiment and see what we can make happen. But basically his trans housing snapped where the arm mounts, and so he went and started shopping for a 272R, and then it snowballed farther and farther and farther. And now we're gonna try this. We might mess around with trying to do a mid-motor. We're gonna see how it goes, but yeah, you'll get a nice little glimpse of it, and we're gonna kind of go through and figure out what works, what doesn't, and then give you guys a rundown of it. So,
to be determined.
Yep, that's that. Enjoy.
All right, guys, so we're pretty much like, we've got the basics set. From here forward, it's going to be mostly fine tuning and putting things in locations that we really want them to be permanently mounted. Kind of just have like a rough idea of the stuff that we've got right now. This probably isn't where it's going to end up, but for the time being, we have the front bulkhead mounted, the rear bulkhead mounted. We've got our mid-engine style going, and then the rest of the stuff is gonna be figured out here shortly.
Yeah, from here it's kind of gonna be just trial and error of figuring out what we want where, and like we're gonna do, well, we're testing out the battery sideways like that, so that we can fit electronics down lower and get the center of gravity pretty low. We might, and by might I mean hopefully, we'll put the Nerf bars, the little side Nerf bars, drill some holes and mount those on the sides of this chassis to protect the battery so that it's not exposed. But there's still a little bit more to go. We gotta get some spacers for these to get them pushed out right so the shock can sit in there. Because on the Nitro chassis it has little aluminum spacers there, but progress. It's basically a roller, just needs some shocks.
Also, the bell crank isn't really mounted.
Yeah, we have to get different size screws for the bell crank. We're gonna add everything in here in the description, but there's a bunch of little things that need to be changed. Like the trans, you need to either cut the trans casing in the front or put a spacer under it. We ended up spacing it up a bit so it sits flush. And then there's a couple things we've been finding out, but we'll put a list of that and kind of give you a full rundown in the end. But from here out, it's going to be some trial and error, and we'll touch base every now and then and kind of show you where we're at and what we've found works, doesn't work, whatever. And then eventually we will drive it, maybe in the next couple years.
Maybe
Just kidding.
someday.
But yeah, so it's coming along. It's definitely getting there. It looks like a car again. And we're toying with ideas of using the stock Nitro case back here with the Nitro bumper. So we have something back there, or just something more simple, like something like this. But we'll see. There's a lot of room back there, so we have some room to experiment. But all this is the junkyard now, and we've moved on to this. So that's where we're at for now.
All right, so here we are, guys. It's been about 24 hours just working straight on this. Just kidding. However, we are pretty much ready to go. We are in just about operational. There's a few things here and there, like we'll get a better way of securing the battery. It's in there pretty good right now, but we got the receiver mounted, ESC mounted, trans is in there. We did do some adjustments in the menu on the transmitter, so the motor is turning the correct direction now. We ended up going with the Nitro rear bumper. There's nothing in here. It's, you know, just for storage and for being adorable. Otherwise, we've got it pretty much ready to go. We'll have a parts list together in the description, assuming it's good. If not, we'll just leave a note that says don't do it.
And we'll be testing it today to see where we're at with it. So
yeah, we're gonna put it through its paces and see what it does.
Yep. So everything's mocked up and ready to go. It's gonna be like trial and error, see what worked, what doesn't, but it's there. It's a car. It should be pretty sick, and there'll be some suspension stuff we'll work on and whatnot over time, but
for right now, we're ready.
Yeah, and it looks way less hacked together than I was anticipating. Like, it really didn't require as much chopping and modding as I was expecting, which is nice. Like, it required a good bit, but not like, nothing felt like we were hacking it together. Like, it felt like it was all...
Yeah, we didn't need the Dremel for anything. It was just kind of cutting and small bits here and there.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we are gonna test it today. We'll put some clips into that, and we'll see what we find. If there's anything we want to change, we'll add that in, and we'll put together a little parts list. Now, there are things that we did in this video that are not required for this. Like, it's got the Rustler rear arms and the Rustler wide front arms from RPM.
Yeah.
And that was just something he wanted to do while he was in here. So we'll give you like a parts list we'll do a build breakdown on this truck eventually. But we'll do like a list of, okay, these are the parts you need if you're just going from an electric chassis to nitro chassis, and then optional stuff.
We have to figure out what box that was before.
Yeah, I mean, the receiver box doesn't matter too much because even the stock receiver box would have fit there. That's just, you just have to plug the holes, I guess. But yeah, we'll go through and figure that out. I'm assuming that's like a Rustler or something because it was in my parts bin. But yeah, so here she is. We'll get some seat time with it, and we'll be back with updates. But it's a car.
Hey guys, so we are back after having driven this. We put some laps on it, put it through its paces. Well, we still have some tuning and refinement to do. Some of it has to do with reusing some of the old components. Like knuckles have a little bit more slop than I care for, but that's just because of the parts that we reused. Overall, the chassis itself has been great. I mean, it remains pretty flat going over jumps. It stays pretty well in control. I think it's definitely an improvement over the two-wheel drive LCG chassis. And with the right supporting modifications, I think it's a pretty good setup. We're still working out some of the kinks, and I think once all the kinks are taken care of, like having a decent battery strap and getting a little bit more cooling towards the motor, I think once we hit all those points, it'll be pretty much like the go-to setup for two-wheel drive. So yeah, I mean, follow us on the journey. If we do any updates on this, I guess we'll add on a few tidbits here and there. So if anything massively changes, you should see it in upcoming videos. But otherwise, I think the aluminum chassis for the Nitro, great move. I recommend it.
And we have a video coming out. It should be the one right after this one. We took that slash, a Nitro slash, and a electric two-wheel drive LCG out to a track near us and took them out for some laps. Nothing crazy, but we put it through some tests, and there'll be a lot of footage in the next video of that, and there'll be plenty more to come. So stay tuned for the rest of that, and hope you enjoyed the process.
Woo. Peace.